trying to be what everybody else was. I mean, even my captions, I was trying to be too, like, just ooze all the feelings and, oh, I just love motherhood and it's so fantastic. And now I do. I love being a mom. I think it's a beautiful thing. But by nature, I tend to be a sarcastic person. I tend to try to find the humor in everything. Like, I'm always making light of every situation. And so when I let my captions just be me, when I started being sarcastic and silly and lighthearted, people started really connecting with what I was saying because I was being authentic.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Mom Does It All. If you're looking for encouragement, empowerment, and uplifting in motherhood and mompreneurship, this is a show for you. I'm your host, Marta Spurk, triplet mom, certified success coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. In this episode, I'll be talking to mommy blogger at Honestly Mommy, Stephanie Peltier. She shares her story on why she decided to become a mommy blogger, her journey throughout this process into becoming a hit on Instagram, and talks about how she found her authentic voice and also gives us tips on how to do what she does. Let's get right to it. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I know. I'm so excited to hear about your story. So tell us how you got into doing what you're doing, into being Honestly Mommy. And I'm just so excited to learn like how it all started and obviously hear your tips to manage, life as a mom and working on social media and just all of the amazing things that you do.
Well, thank you. I mean, honestly, it's like that is such a loaded question. I feel like whenever people ask me, how did you get to where you are today? I'm like, I don't know. There was a million steps in between the day I started and where I'm at now. So basically, I got into this about 3 weeks after my second child was born because I needed an outlet. I was kind of bored, and which is funny, 3 weeks after baby, I'm bored already. But just I'm a very creative person. I love writing. And so my brain is always on like hyper overdrive. And I just needed a way to get some of the creativity out. I wanted an outlet for my writing. So I actually started my blog first. And then a couple days later, I was like, well, gosh, if I'm going to do a blog, I should probably do an Instagram. Like, I don't know. I don't really know where the thought came from. And so I started my Instagram account, Honestly Mommy, mainly because I think one of the words that's always stuck with me all my life is just honest. Like everything in my life, all I've ever tried to embody is just being honest in everything that I do. And it's been huge to me. So I thought I would run with the idea of just being straight up honest. And in the beginning, it started very differently. My photos were honest in the sense of I took pictures of like my dirty laundry, poopy diapers. And I very quickly realized people don't want to see that because, of course, you can look around your own home and see all of that.
Right.
So after about, I think like 6 months of kind of wading through the Instagram thing and going, why isn't this working? And why aren't people flocking to me? I mean, I'm being honest. Why aren't people flocking to me? I started to redo my look. And that's when everything just really started to take off. And I somehow got to where I am.
I love that. Let me just touch on a couple things that I thought were amazing that you said.
Totally.
You needed an outlet 3 weeks in, and it might sound crazy, but trust me, it does not. Especially me, triplet mom, like I totally get it.
Yeah.
And for me, it took a little bit longer because I had so much that I had to do to even get to the point of let's find an outlet. But I totally get it. And I feel like that's something that moms may feel guilty about. Even wanting or even admitting that they're bored, like you have a baby, you're supposed to be so freaking happy, but it just doesn't work out like that. And I'm not saying that all moms go through that, but I understand that because I went through that. So I love that you said that, and then you started doing something about it. And then one thing that you said is that you changed the look of your Instagram. And I'm so interested in that. So how did you go about that? Did you just, kind of research what everybody else was doing? What was the process for that?
I did exactly the opposite.
Okay.
So when I first got on, and I think one of the reasons why I struggled so badly at the beginning is because when I got on Instagram, I followed all of like the typical mom feeds, like just anybody that I came across that had like lots of followers. I was like, okay, I need to be them. And so I started trying to replicate their feed. And it really wasn't my style. So even it's still today, a lot of people do very warm toned photos. Even I'm sure you've seen the hashtag, I think it's like all the feels or something like that. Like it's just all these very, sorry, I don't want to like categorize, but like hipster, it's all very hipster. And okay. I am not a hipster person. I tend to be more modern. I love white. I love gray. And so my photos, I was trying my best to be everybody else and what I thought everyone else wanted on Instagram. And it wasn't until I was like, this is not working for me. Like it was so hard for me to take a photo. I wasn't editing them well because I didn't know how to do those colors. I don't have those colors in my house. Like I was like, I don't like reds and browns and it's just not me.
Right.
And so when I was looking through my feed, I was like, I don't like any of this. And I did a total overhaul. 180, went completely the opposite direction and started doing white. I have a tiny little slip of a wall in my bedroom that is straight up white. It's like the only little white wall in my house. And that's where I started taking all of my photos, was basically in front of like this white wall.
Nice.
I kept them very simple. Like I pulled back on all of the, the props and the stuff. I stopped trying to do flat lays and yeah. So I feel like actually when I looked at who I was as a person, my personal preferences and like the colors I am drawn to, like I'm very drawn to cool tones, is when I actually started doing really well on my feed and people started noticing my photos.
Oh, that's amazing. And I love that because it's kind of like finding that sweet spot between who you are and also what people are interested in seeing. Like you said, there's some stuff that it's like, whatever, I don't want to see that. That's stupid. Like you want to make it pretty, but with your style so that it's your voice and you're authentic with what you're doing and call people's attention. So I love that. Amazing. And so you mentioned that was 3 weeks after you had your second baby?
Second baby, yes.
Okay. And how long ago was that?
2.5 years.
Okay. So it's been 2.5 years since you first started
I guess so.
Nothing. You hadn't even thought back to it. And so before that, you were just stay-at-home mom like all of us.
Yes.
And then you started on this journey and then you were just sharing honestly about your story. How did the sponsorships and just, partnering up with companies and all of that start?
Well, I was totally aware of it. I actually have a cousin who's a Insta mommy or whatever you want to call it also. So I had watched her account evolve. So I started a brand new account. She took her personal account and evolved it into a, Instagram mom account. So I knew it was possible. I'm like, I knew that she was partnering with companies, that she was getting free stuff. I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I would love to get there someday. Didn't really know if I would or not. But even just as I kept building, like what I always tell moms when they're starting out, they're like, well, how do I ever get there? I'm like, don't worry about it. If you are on Instagram long enough and you have a following, brands will reach out to you at some point. Like I didn't reach out to brands. I just finally, so there was certain moms that I followed who were also influencers. And I've found a tip would be like, if you want to get into the influencing game, follow some mommies who you feel like have similar aesthetics to you and actually comment their sponsored posts. Because people don't realize that the brands actually look at those posts. So when I post for a brand, that brand always follows up on my photo. Typically, they look at the comments, they'll go check out people's feed. That's how they find other influencers.
Interesting.
And people don't really realize that. Like a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't really like or comment on sponsored posts because, they're boring or whatever. And I'm like, well, dude, if you want to get into this game, that's actually something you should do. Okay. So that's one of the things I started doing is just really heavily engaging with some of my influencer friends, just really focused on my content and growing my page. And I think the first company to reach out to me was a little baby soap and shampoo. Like I got 2 little bottles. One was baby body wash and one was a little hair wash. I was so excited. And I had to do 4 posts in exchange for that $20 product.
Okay.
So totally ridiculous. Never should have said yes, but I was so beyond excited to get my 2 free products.
Yeah.
In exchange for the photos. And I was like, I did it. I made it. So,
that is awesome.
Started.
Cool. Just with baby products. That's amazing.
Yes.
And so now you actually have all kinds of tips on your website and on your blog to help moms get started with this journey that it sounds like you didn't really have any previous experience. You had people that you knew, but you just really started just doing it and learning. And now you're helping moms with other tips. So what are your top tips for moms that would be are interested in doing kind of like what you do?
Oh my goodness. Number one, I would say just be yourself. So, I mean, I already hit on that I was trying to be what everybody else was. I mean, even my captions, I was trying to be too like just ooze all the feelings and, oh, I just love motherhood and it's so fantastic. And now I do. I love being a mom. I think it's a beautiful thing. But by nature, I tend to be a sarcastic person. I tend to try to find the humor in everything. Like I'm always making light of every situation. And so when I let my captions just be me, when I started being sarcastic and silly and lighthearted, people started really connecting with what I was saying because I was being authentic. I'm like, people can sniff out a fake from 5 miles away. So be yourself. I mean, like take a step back, really look at who you are. And like I always tell people to try to have like 2 to 3 main things that they kind of talk about. So like motherhood's a good overall, I mean, you know, we're all moms. We're all going to talk about motherhood. So that's a great overall theme, but you still need a few specific things that you want to focus on. So like one of my main ones is humor. I'm constantly trying to think of how can I make people smile? How can I make people laugh? So find, you know, what makes you tick. If you are one of those moms who really likes to draw out the emotions in people and just share about, you know, how motherhood has changed you. Or, I mean, I follow moms who have postpartum depression.
Right.
That's one of their things that they talk about a lot. So just find out what makes you and share it. Be authentic, be real, and people will connect with you for that. And then number 2, in the beginning, I mean, because now that everyone is so hyper aware that this can be a job, that you can get free stuff and this can be a job.
Right.
I feel like it actually can deter people from doing well because that's their main focus. So when I got into this, although yes, it was one of my goals, it wasn't the only thing I was thinking about. Like right off the bat, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to make buku bucks on this.
Right.
I really was in it to connect with other moms, to have some fun. I just wanted to do it to write. I did it as an outlet for my writing. So I'm like, put that on the shelf. Because I think that's another thing is people can really tell when you're like product hungry or money hungry, you know, and it's like, oh, that's not really fun to follow. So be authentic, be yourself. I say this all the time. Take DM to collab out of your bio.
Okay.
Number 1 pet peeve. If a brand wants to work with you, they will reach out to you. They know how to find your email. They know how to message you. I promise. So like, it's just one of those things where it's like, it makes you look a little bit needy or
desperate.
Yep. So I'm like, just take it out, honey.
Okay. I like that.
They know.
They will find you.
Yes. Everybody knows that mamas like free stuff. I'm like, who doesn't like free stuff?
Yeah. No, I love that. So be you. Don't be focused on the money, right? Yes. You have to be doing this either to help people, to bring a smile to their face, like what you're saying, connect, right? And also take the DM to collab off of your bio. Yes. I love that. Yes. I love that. And so you mentioned the very first collaboration or sponsorship or whatever that you had. What was one that was actually a pretty big one that you're like, oh my gosh, this is happening, like that you are super excited about?
Oh my gosh, any of them, any nowadays. Honestly, I cannot believe the emails that I get to my inbox. Gosh, I'm trying to think of some of my favorites have probably been Wild Bird, the ring sling company.
Oh yeah.
I've just seen those all over and I didn't even really know if I would like it or not. Love it. So I got to collaborate with them. Another one is actually I'm hosting a giveaway for Lily Jade right now. So they have
awesome.
really nice diaper bags. And I'm like, it's way outside my price range. My husband is a cop. And so he just became a cop 6 months ago. So this is the first time in our life that he's making a decent salary. Before that, he was just a security guard at a hospital. So we've never had money. We've never had extra money. We've never been able to go over and above to like buy things and stuff. So getting a Lily Jade, which is like, I don't know, to me, it's like the ultimate diaper bag.
Right. Yeah.
I was just beside myself. I was so excited. So I don't know, this whole thing I still pinch myself basically every day. And every once in a while I look at my husband, I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, how did this happen to me? I can't believe we're doing this. I am making money off posting photos on Instagram.
Right.
It's incredible. So I don't even know if I can like single out a favorite, but seriously, the emails I get to my inbox, sometimes I do, I squeal and I scream and I go, oh!
I bet. That's amazing. And so kind of walk us through your process for like creating content. So is it something that you kind of sit down and create in batch, like for the pictures, the captions? How does that all work?
Okay. I would die. I would literally die without my planner.
Okay.
So I buy like a yearly planner and make sure it has big boxes and margins and stuff. And I write notes all the time. I'm constantly keeping notes of like payments, who's paid, who hasn't, what hashtags they want in their posts. Because usually when a company reaches out to me right off the bat, like if I get an idea, I instantly write it down. If I have kind of that photo, I'm like, oh, that would be cute because I know that's the one to go with. If I have to really sit and go, oh, like what am I doing? I don't know. Usually the ones that I think about for way too long don't turn out well. It's usually that instantaneous idea where like, I'm working with an essential oils company right now. And just a couple, like 4 or 5 posts ago, I posted one of the kids and Zeke is balancing Aurora, my baby, on top of some Christmas presents. Oh, and then like Cece, my daughter, is pulling a little Christmas tree. And I just, as soon as they sent the products and I got this cute little essential oils plushie, it just popped into my head. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. They're going to be my little kind of like elves decorating the house on a mission. And so it popped into my head, and I'm a mom and I have major bad mom brain. So I immediately write things down. Always, always, always. I'm like, if you're going to do this, write it down.
Yeah.
So like I have a running list on my phone of ideas. I have hundreds just for my content. Of course, sponsored content is more specific. But so I'm always keeping lists of ideas for sponsored content, ideas for my content, and that's usually what I go back to. And then as far as photos go, yes and no. Sometimes I fly by the seat of my pants because, again, I'm a mom. So I'm like, I'll have a week where we're all sick. And I'm like, obviously, I'm not shooting content that week. So then I'll end up getting super behind. And I'm like, just eking out the deadlines. Whereas like this month, December, I have a lot of collaborations with brands. And so I had to be very, very intentional about making sure that I was on top of taking photos, because some of them, not all of them have to be submitted beforehand for approval. But some of them do. So this month, yes, I've been actually on a new venture. I've been doing vlogging, video vlogging. Yes. And so I've shown in my first couple of vlogs, I was showing some of the behind the scenes, and I was like, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm photo obsessed because every single one I'm talking about, oh yeah, now we're taking this photo. Oh, and then we got to go do this photo. And I mean, I was taking 3 or 4 photos a day, like all the components for them. Cause like, so that essential oils one that I mentioned was a photoshopped composite photo. It wasn't an all-in-one. So I had to take the photo of Zeke, take the photo of Aurora.
I was going to ask about that. How do you get the kids to be in the perfect position?
No. I don't think people would probably be floored if they realized how much I Photoshop. And I don't Photoshop in the sense, I don't Photoshop in the sense of like, I don't know, removing blemishes or making myself perfect. Like I'm like, I don't make myself skinnier. Like I wish that would be great, but I don't do that. I Photoshop in the sense of, so I try to get as much of the photo taken in one shot as possible. But I have 3 children and a grumpy husband. So that doesn't happen all the time.
Sounds like my family.
Yes, exactly. So I usually use a tripod. I take about 95% of my own photos. I use just on my iPhone, and I use a tripod and a remote shutter. So I just sit and click. I mean, I take about 200 photos in a minute. It's ridiculous. Okay. So because I take them all so close together, I can then go and look through, and like if Zeke and I are smiling in one photo and Cece looks ridiculous, well, I'll usually still take that photo and then I will Photoshop her face in to make it cute. So there's a lot of that goes into it too. Not all of my photos are Photoshopped. Some of them are pretty simple, and I just do my little preset that I created in Lightroom and done. Okay. But most of mine, usually the ones that do better have quite a bit of Photoshopping in it, not that you would know, I hope.
And how did you get into doing all of that? Like you kind of learned as you went?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was like a slow evolution. I don't even remember how I got into photoshopping. I think again, so because I started out with writing and it was just a creative outlet, again, I'm just a creative person. So I used to draw. That was like one of my favorite things to do. So I just have all these wild images and things in my head. And I was like, I can't do this with just my iPhone. Like, I wanted to do some of what were some of my first ones? I don't even remember what some of my first Photoshop was, but even some of the balancing ones. So like now one of the ones I do that is always pretty popular is I do these like impossible balancing scenes where like I'm standing on one leg with Zeke and Kaden, or Zeke and Cece, my kids. I'm holding them above my head in a laundry basket, with one hand. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. And most people don't even realize it's Photoshopped. That's the funny thing is the comments I get, they're like, how did you do that? You're so strong. I'm like, guys. So I kind of wanted to take daily life and make it bigger, make it more dramatic, and take some of the motherhood moments that are funny. Like I'm like, you can get a funny photo of like the chaos of motherhood. But then like the one I posted a couple weeks ago, I doubled all of my children in the photo. And some people caught it and some people didn't. Some people were like, you have 6 kids? No.
My gosh.
Right. And so my caption explained that like sometimes I feel like I have way more children than I do. So there was moments of motherhood that I'm like, you can kind of capture it in one frame, but if you just do a little bit of tweaking, you make it so much bigger and more noticeable and funny.
Yes, no, totally. And you totally have the personality and the creativity to do that. So that's amazing because it's like combining the writing and the picture.
Yes.
Just perfect to make people laugh and be like, yes, that's exactly it. And I love the quotes that you put on there too.
Thank you.
Just the different things of the pictures and the quotes that I love the variety.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I wanted you to you gave us some tips, but in terms of like general advice for a mom that may be feeling, a little bit bored, maybe writing is not their thing, or how do they go about kind of getting out of that funk, kind of finding their thing, whether it be with blogging or Instagram and partnering with brands, like what is kind of like your message for moms out there?
Man. I think my thing, and you touched on it a little bit earlier too, that like sometimes we feel guilty if like we have a hobby or we have something outside of the house. And I'm like, don't. I feel like so often, even with my son, my first, I did get so sucked into motherhood. And it's not a bad thing necessarily. Like for some moms, it really fits them and it can be their all. And I mean, motherhood is so all consuming anyhow. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
But I felt like I lost myself. In the first year or two, I stopped doing my makeup. I stopped dressing cute. I didn't really go out much. I didn't have friends. Like I had nothing that was me. I had nothing that was Steph anymore. And I think my husband kind of helped me with that because I always have been somebody like, I love doing makeup. I love getting dressed cute. Even if I don't go anywhere, I'll dress up for the day. Like it's just me. And at one point he did kind of challenge me on it and was like, what's going on? Like, what is going on with you? And not in an unkind way, but just in like a little bit of a pep talk. Right. And I realized that I put myself on the back burner and I'm like, there's times that we need to do that. Like, especially like I have a newborn right now. So there are days that I'm like, I have to put everything aside and I just focus on my babies and I focus on motherhood and it's fantastic. But at the same time, it's not completely fulfilling for me. And I do feel that there's something missing. So I'm like, don't be shy about it. Don't feel guilty about it. I'm like, we are all are real people. And even once your kids start going to school or even like once they're out of the house, you're still a person. Like as much as I will be a mom forever, I will not be a mom in the capacity that I am right now, where it's super open and it's late nights and early mornings. I'm like, there will come a time where my kids aren't going to be as dependent on me. And I'm like, I don't want to be floundering to go, who am I? What am I doing? Like, I still want to come out strong on the other side of this. So I'm like, whatever your passion is or whatever your hobby was, even in like high school or whatever, go for it, pick it back up, do it when you can. If it means staying up an extra hour when you should be sleeping, it's like once in a while, hey, like it's totally
okay.
Perfect. Yes.
Oh, I love that. I love that you said, because that's one of the things that I say a lot, especially because being a triplet mom, if motherhood consumes you, like, just like what you were saying. And then with this, it's even more intense. And then you feel that guilt because it's like, I don't have any more time. Right. And then I'm trying to fit something else in. What are you thinking?
What am I doing? Yes.
But it's the whole thing of why wait to go through this process once the kids are 18? Like, that's a long time, especially for the people that have kids different ages. That's a long time.
Totally.
So start, and I love your advice. Just whatever you liked back in high school, just start thinking of different things that might, make you feel a little bit more fulfilled or happy, and go from there. Maybe you'll find something else along the way, but I love that. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, absolutely.
And so obviously we can find you as Honestly Mommy on your website, on Instagram. And then you do have a free resource to help moms that are interested in kind of doing what you do.
I do. So if you go to my website, which is heyhonestlymommy.com, if you subscribe to my newsletter, it will email you. Gosh, I think I have like 30 different websites on there right now that you can sign up for as an influencer. And then also if you look under the social media motherhood or social media mom, I'm not sure, whatever category is where I house all of the information on how I've grown on Instagram. I share hashtag banks on there, like just any information that I have. I am always willing and trying to share as much as I possibly can to help other people get to wherever I am.
Mm-hmm. To wherever I am.
Yeah, wherever I am at the moment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all your honesty. See what I did there? And I just love talking to you. You're so fun. And I love your pictures and all your quotes and all of the things.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I've thought about getting into podcasts, but again, I don't need one more thing to do. So I'll let you do it.
Okay. Well, and you can be on again and we'll talk about something else. There's always something to talk about.
No, right? Totally.
Okay, seriously, how fun was this interview? Stephanie is just the best. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you have to go right now because she has the best content. She always brings a smile to my face and just makes my day lighter, especially when I'm struggling with my crazy toddlers. Don't forget to share the episode on social media, invite your friends to listen to the show, and give us a 5-star rating so we can reach more mamas. And tell me, do you have a favorite mommy blogger or mompreneur you'd like me to interview? Give me some recommendations. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, bye!